Hey, good day, good day. Welcome back, everybody. It's the Big Canucker here, and got yourself a little bit of a knife review today. I got my big black sweater on because they say black is very slimming, and I don't think I should ever wear any other color but black. Plus, she's damn cold outside. She's colder than a scorned woman's heart. It's pretty brutal out there. Now, I guess the other thing too is I've turned into a giant pussy when it comes to the cold. I moved from northern Manitoba where she's regularly like 35 below for like 2, 3 weeks at a time. You get cold snaps and you just learn to live with it. Except when I was in high school. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I was too damn cool to be warm in high school. So of course, I had the big mullet, and I would have my leather jacket with a jean jacket with cut off sleeves, and then a red and black checkered bush jacket underneath too as well, and my high top sneakers, jeans with no long underwear on, and a t-shirt underneath. Of course, that had to have cut off sleeves, and I would walk to school. And man, oh man, my hair would be just white because I was too damn cool to wear a toque to keep warm, or a hat. If you're not from Canada, you don't know what a toque is. But anyway, she's damn cold out, minus 19. But I want to have a look at a knife that just warms my heart. It's a new edition here, and I've had it long enough now that I think I've got the jive of it. So let's have a look at the other camera. We'll point downstairs, and the magic of the multicam editing. Boom. All right, we have got ourselves the Spyderco Subvert. And I gotta say, this thing is, man, I loved everything about this knife other than the color. I mean, that orange was a brutal color. And I mean, I like orange in some things, but that particular orange, just man, oh man, I would look at it and I would think, oh, safety, safety, safety. And I got to tell you, this is not the knife to be not worried about safety about. So, anyways, this was designed by Israeli goldsmith and custom knife maker Nadia Moore. And I got to tell you, they pretty close. If you have a look at Nadia Moore's customs, now I can't remember what this is based upon. The Subvert, oh geez, I can't remember. I might have to look it up. Anyway, if you have a look at the knife that this is based upon, the overall shape is pretty faithful to the custom that he makes. Of course, the customs that he makes, got titanium with these, crazy colors and stuff like that. It's a gorgeous looking knife, but the knife shape and the knife handle is extremely similar to Nadia Moore custom knives that he makes out of his shop. And oh, damn it, I wish I could remember the name of it. Oh well, que sera, sera. But anyway, she's a big honking knife. This is a knife that is going to be able to, you can take it to the bush and you could chop down trees with this bugger. And a lot of people say that she's got a weak detent. And I got to say, yeah, she's definitely could use, I think, a little bit of a tunes. Now, if you have a look here, this bugger bit me the very first day I owned it, and then it bit me again right there. So I had two of them right off the bat, but still doesn't stop me from loving this knife. It's an overbuilt pocket machete that I think looks gorgeous once I've kind of dyed it. Now I ended up using, now how I got this color here, it's a black Rit dye is what I used. And unfortunately, when I went to the place in Lethbridge that sells Rit dye, they had no synthetic left. So I ended up just grabbing some natural black dye. And it didn't seem to really take into, because I originally wanted this to be just a straight black um, scales, but they turned out really, really nice. It's kind of like a brown color here, but it's in real life without the camera, it looked a little more red. So what I'll end up doing maybe is I might end up getting some new Rit dye in the synthetic blend, and I might try like a cherry red on here just to kind of give it that color. So I am going to re-dye this again eventually. And then I polished the back here a little bit, and I'm going to polish this right to a mirror polish because and all the way completely around, I'm going to mirror polish it. I just didn't want to get out my my Dremel and my polish right now, so I just used some really super fine sandpaper just to kind of give me an idea of what I think it'll look like, and it's going to look gorgeous when I'm done this knife. But excuse me, I apologize. A little bit of a frog in my throat. Gonna drink myself a little bit of coffee here. I wish I had a what's called a cough drop in the radio business that you could push a button and get rid of the coughing, but unfortunately, I am not that well set up. Okay, technical specs. She, like I said, she's a big knife at 9.25 inches, and I think I don't really have. All right, I'll tell you what. This is what I'm carrying today, which is the Spyderco Shaman. So that'll give you an idea of how big this is. And I just happen to have this handy here too as well, which is the Victorinox Hunter XT. So you can see that she's a big knife. At nine and 9.25 inches long, 9.25. She is a pocket machete. Okay, so let's put that away here for now. Now the close length is 5.11 inches, so she's got some length to it too as well. The blade thickness here is 4 millimeters, so it is a really big hunk of S30V. Blade length is 4.14 inches long, so she's plus 4 inches, and you get a ton of edge length. Now they say 4.11 inches. I think there's actually more than that. I think you're looking at 4.14 inches in edge length too as well. Now she's titanium G10, so she's got these really big, thick liners inside here. And now it's classified as a liner lock, but I think that how thick this G10 is, it's almost like a frame lock, because I mean, you literally could probably take these G10 scales off and use this knife just as it is with the, it won't be as comfortable, but it is, thick enough that I think you could use this titanium as just a frame in itself. All right, so now this is built in Taiwan, and I got to say right off the bat, Taichung Taiwan does a great job on their fit and finish. The blade was centered, the screws were perfect. I mean, it came like this. Now I did take this apart, and but it was perfectly centered when I got it. The frame lock itself, she locked up at about 50%, and I never worry too much about lockup. I don't know. I mean, I suppose maybe in 20 years, when these knives are 20 years old, I will notice and be a little bit concerned about it. But as a knife collector myself, I've never, and I've been collecting for probably close to 10 years now. And in my earliest knives, this has been really solid, and I fidget with my knives and open them out quite a bit, and I'm not too concerned about this. I know there are people out there who it's got to have a 15% lockup or less than 20%, or they'll never buy it, blah blah. I don't know. I don't think you'll ever have to worry about it. Now, lots of people, when this first came out, I don't know what they changed, but there was some people complaining about having a lock stick on this knife. And I've got my Spyderco K2 that I've had tremendous lock stick, and it drove me crazy. And I still am not out of the woods with it yet. I do have most of the lock stick gone on it, but it drives me bananas. But this one came from the factory with zero lock stick whatsoever. It was very smooth right off the bat. And this big handle here is, it's a guillotine. If you're not close, if you're not careful, this thing will fall shut, and it is so sharp, especially now. I mean, it was sharp right out of the bat. Like the guy who's in charge of sharpening in Taiwan, hey, you know what? Golf clap for you, buddy, because you did a great job. Now, like I said, big old thick piece of CPM S30V, which is, I think, an all-around steel. That's just a great steel all around. And you know what? And I went to not knowing a thing about steel to reading up tons about steel and becoming a steel snob, and now I seem to be kind of back to not caring as much about steel, because all my high-end knives, whether it's M4 or S30V or S35V end or CPM 20 CV, I've not noticed a monster difference. The only thing I've noticed is I've got a couple of what is it? A Spyderco Tenacious I had, and a Spyderco Resilient with the 8 CR13 MOV, and that was terrible steel. I use my resilience as kind of a outside the yard knife, and I was sharpening it 3 times a day when I was doing some gardening, and that drove me crazy. And I tried an S30VN knife or an S30V knife, and it lasted the whole day. So, hey, I know that there's a couple of videos out there where people are not super concerned about it, but I am. I think S30V is a great steel. Now she's 6.2 ounces, so she's a little bit of a porky pig here, but you didn't really notice it. I didn't really carry this in I carried it in a set of jeans, and it has to get really heavy before it starts to make you a saggy pocket in your jeans. And I tried it a little bit in my sweatpants, and it was okay. It was kind of borderline, but yeah. So she's a right-handed clip. Tip up only. There's no left-handed. So I mean, hey, that's his style. So if you're a left-hander like my wife, too bad, so sad. I guess you can still, get it, but you'll have to carry it in your right pocket unless you figure out some sort of crazy around the thing clip. Now, she is a really thick bitch. She's thick. And you got to be thinking that this thing is probably close to 3/4 of an inch thick. And she's, quite big this way. It really fills your hand great, though. Like, I'm a really big guy. And I love having this knife in my hand and cutting with it because it's so darn comfortable. The ergonomics are exceptional with this. Now, these G10 scales, they're kind of rounded here off like that. So you get some really comfort to it. Now, um, the fit and finish, like these edges here, it might have had to do with me kind of shaving them down a little bit, but um, they're not so crisp that they hurt your hand. I like the fact that they've been broken up a little bit. And I'm going to do, when I do a little bit more customizing, I'm going to probably, the spire hole here is really crisp too as well. And once I find the right kind of ceramic stone to get inside there, I'm going to break that up a little bit because that's a little, it's enough that it'll actually shave off pieces of your fingernail. So now I did sharpen this too as well. I put a mirror finish on it, and it did stay fairly similar. Got a little thick on the end. I tried to get it so it wouldn't do that, but I mean it's not too bad. The bevel is the same all the way. Although the only thing that kind of pissed me off a little bit is my KME jaw was a tiny bit loose, and I got a couple of little tiny ghost scratches above the bevel that you can see in the right light, and it kind of pisses me off. But anyway, so now the shape of this with this recurve on here, I was kind of a little concerned about that. But what it seems to do is when you're actually taking this and you're really pushing through some heavy duty stuff, because I cut some really thick cardboard with this, and it seemed like it just got into a natural groove and it just went through like butter. I mean, I tried to, start it up here and I'd push through it and it would kind of slide back, and it just seems like, I don't know if that was designed on purpose or if it's just a happy accident, but when you're actually, the way you've got the curve of this knife with the curve of the blade and the recurve on it, it's got a really cutting sweet spot that the knife seems to find it on its own. And speaking of cutting here, let's do a little bit of the old paper cut, because a knife is not sharp unless it cuts some box paper. It's a phone book paper, but yeah, this thing, look at that. She is sharp, and you can see right off to the end is it sharp. And with that, you have to watch. Look at that. So now, and then you can see here. Now, what I use a knife for most of the time is I'm loving cutting cardboard. That's what I do. Now, my job, don't know if it's still my job or not, but I work for a company called Worth Canada that I used to get cardboard boxes like crazy. I'm still kind of laid up here looking for probably a fourth surgery happening here, but in the future, cutting cardboard is where I did lots of stuff, and this thing, just like nothing, right through the cardboard. And you can see it just seems to get that kind of perfect little hook to it, right? Where it just, and this is, Unbelievable. Unbelievable, folks, how well this goes through cardboard. And just any part of it will go through the cardboard, even the end. So now I am not like, like Pete and Cedric Data Gear Channel. I'm not going to cut twisted sisal rope for till the, till the big guy comes again, because I just don't find that very fun cutting a shitload of sisal rope. But I do like cutting a shitload of cardboard, and that's what this knife is going to do. It's going to cut a shitload of cardboard. It's a heavy duty knife that is going to be easy to carry based on its design. The ergonomics are fantastic. The look on it, once if you like that orange and you like the look of it, good for you. But I mean, to me, the overall look of the knife was a 7. You take away that orange, and she's a 10. I think it's a gorgeous, gorgeous looking knife and a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. And this is a knife that's going to be in my collection, I think, for a really, really long time. And up to now, my Spyderco K2 was my big, heavy duty, overbuilt knife that I was cutting cardboard with. And I think this kind of took it over because it is a joy to cut with. That's kind of my review. Now, some negatives on this. Uh, no, the custom version of this is a flipper tab. I think would have been all right to put a flipper tab on there. The detent is a tiny bit weak, and as you can see here, this knife is one of those knives that you can open with just gravity. There, and it's a guillotine. If you're not careful with this knife, it'll reach out and bite you in a hurry, as you can see here. And I'm going to try that little shake open again here. You can see how you can shake the blade open. And I apologize here. Well, actually, you know what? Let's go to the other camera here, and I can show you here on the other camera. So you can see here, she's just like nothing. It shakes open, just like that. And I love the fidget with this knife. And if you're not careful, it's definitely a guillotine. A little spidey flick. And so now how I've taken to opening this or closing this is sometimes two-handed, because you'll cut yourself. But when I'm in fidgeting, I'll close it flat way. So I'll hit it, and then that way it's not falling down, and then I can turn it, and it goes down just like butter. Extremely, extremely smooth. Now, lots of times I will close a knife with my finger like that, and I'll press on it. But this one has got no real choil spot at the base of the knife to prevent you from because lots of times this has got an unsharpened bottom part here, heel, right by the ricasso, and it'll hit your finger, and then you can close it, where this one does not have that. So be careful, folks. When you're closing this knife, there is no real safe place to have your finger in the way of the blade. You just got to get your finger right out of the blade. So I would suggest either closing it without the benefit of gravity until you got your fingers right out of the way, or two-hand closing it. So here we go. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give this knife probably an 8. And the reason I'm going to knock a couple of points off, I think, are the fact that the detent, I think, is a tiny bit weak, and therefore anybody who has this knife seized by the border guys will know why, because they are totally, I mean, in Canada, you cannot have a gravity assisted knife that will open up with just gravity, or you can't have automatic opening knife. And if this goes through the border, I'm afraid that you're going to have to maybe do some splaining if a border guard kind of checks it out and does the old shakedown test. And then the other thing I think is the fact that because it is so incredibly smooth, there'll be lots of people, I think, having little kind of bites like this. And those are the ways I'm going to kind of knock it a little bit. But other than that, I love carrying it in my pocket. I like cutting cardboard with it. I like cutting stuff with it. And I even cut some apples with it. And it goes through absolutely beautifully. Now, will I recommend this? I think absolutely. I ended up getting this on a crazy sale that I wasn't sure whether or not I was going to pick this up, or I was going to pick up a discontinued Spyderco, the Spyderco Shrimp Tough, but I ended up picking this up, and I haven't regretted it 1 second yet. This is fantastic, and it's going to stay in my collection for an awfully long time. Well, Thanks so much, you guys, for stopping by. Appreciate it so much. If you like what you saw, please give me the thumbs up as well as subscribe. Now, we're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers this year, folks, and I do appreciate your help in helping me spread my voice. Now, please take care out there because we're still not out of the woods yet. Listen to those experts. Keep your shiny side, keep your stick on the ice, the shiny side up. This is the Big Conductor saying adios.